Hey guys, this is Ken with Mid-Level Media, back again for another review. So the big movie that released this weekend, actually we have two big movies that released this weekend. One I'll be giving my review of tomorrow with Pixar's Soul, but the other big one, the big massive blockbuster superhero film that released this weekend on Christmas Day was Wonder Woman 1984, the newest DC film that debuted in theaters and simultaneously on HBO Max as well. So I'm about ready to give my thoughts on this film. As you can tell in the opening, it might be a little controversial, so bear with me. But before I do that, I'm gonna ask that you please subscribe to this channel if you are not already a subscriber of Mid-Level Media. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I do all kinds of great, amazing movie, Blu-ray, 4K related content on this channel that I would definitely love for you to come check out on a regular basis. So hit that subscribe button. Also be sure to like this video. Every single like will help this video out, help get more eyes on it, help move it up those dreaded YouTube algorithms. And be sure to comment down below your thoughts on Wonder Woman 1984. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Leave whatever you have to say about the film in the comments below, and let's have a rational, civil conversation about this film. So without further ado, guys, let's get into this. The film is directed by Patty Jenkins. This film stars Gal Gadot and Chris Pine. Now, before I get into Wonder Woman 1984, let me just say that Wonder Woman from 2017 is my second favorite DC EU film behind Man of Steel. I love the first Wonder Woman film. I thought it was epic. I thought Gal Gadot was fantastic in it. I thought it was so well directed. I love the period piece World War I setting. I love Chris Pine in that movie. I love the fish out of water scenarios. Almost everything about that movie I love. I gave it, I think, a 9.5 out of 10. So I'm a huge fan of the first Wonder Woman from 2017. Now, that being said, I thought that Wonder Woman 1984 was honestly a massive step down from the first Wonder Woman. And this is really hard for me to give this kind of review because I was really looking forward to this movie. The first trailer, I believe, dropped this past January, and I love the first trailer. I think we had another one over the summer. Of course, it was supposed to come out over the summer, so I was very bummed about that when it got pushed back, and I've been waiting for this movie for a long time. I was super excited for it. I love the first Wonder Woman. I was very excited to see Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot re-team to take on the sequel, and with the inclusion of Kristen Wiig as Cheetah, Pedro Pascal, it seemed like all the ingredients were there to create a really magical second feature of this Wonder Woman saga. But if I'm being honest, guys, this movie wasn't good. It's not a good movie at all. And as much as I really wanted to try to find redeeming qualities about it, when I was watching it, I kept thinking to myself, okay, are we going to get to a part where I can actually say something positive about it, where I can actually have some positive thoughts? And there are a few positives I'll get into at the end of this review, but I really did not like this movie. If it was not for the massive failures of Suicide Squad and Justice League, this might be my least favorite DCEU film. In fact, I might like Suicide Squad more than Wonder Woman 1984. It might be slightly below Suicide Squad. That's how much I did not like this film. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that there was so much hype, so much anticipation into this movie going into it from me because I love the first one. And I was just so let down by this movie in like every way possible. Nothing about this film is memorable. Nothing about this film is as epic or even as close to the epic scale of the first one. Of course, in the first one, you had that epic no man's land scene. There is nothing like that in this movie. In fact, there's very little action in this movie at all. There are two sequences that I can think of that stand out. That is the last fight scene with Cheetah, and then there's like a highway scene in the middle where some stuff goes on. And I'm going to try to keep this spoiler free, guys. I really don't want to give spoilers here. I just really didn't like this movie. It felt so unimportant. Everything in this movie felt super unimportant. Nothing felt like it mattered. Extremely heavy-handed, contrived themes and messages, in particular at the end, that just fall completely flat. The tone is way out of sync from the first film. It feels like a completely different movie, especially the way it opens. It feels more like a Spider-Man movie than a Wonder Woman movie. It's kind of goofy, and it actually feels like a movie that was made in the 80s or 90s. It felt more like Tim Burton Batman films, in particular in the first hour of the movie. It just feels of that era and not in a good way at all. Kristen Wiig is a complete one-note villain. Pedro Pascal as Max Lord, completely one-note villain. I mean, Kristen Wiig even reminds me of Michelle Pfeiffer from Batman Returns. The way she kind of comes on screen, the way we're introduced to her, the way she progresses within her story in the film, which honestly is put on the back burner for like 75% of this film. Pedro Pascal actually plays a pretty substantial part to this movie in comparison to Kristen Wiig. So yeah, the villains were lame, and guys, most importantly, the most important thing that this film had to accomplish was, did Gal Gadot recapture that magic, that presence, that embodiment of the character of Wonder Woman that she did in the first film? And the answer is no, she did not. None of that strength, none of that on-screen presence, none of that charm and charisma was present here at all. I got none of that from her performance, and it leaves me to think, like, what happened? Does she just not care about this role anymore? Did something happen within the production to make her stop caring? I got nothing through her performance. Maybe that was some direction miscommunications as well. I don't know. I got nothing in the way that I got from her character from the first one. Just zero character growth, and in a lot of ways she took a step back, especially with the reintroduction of Steve Trevor and that whole plot line. It felt like her character just, it wasn't in line with what she accomplished from the first film as far as growth, as far as progression. And that was a massive, massive disappointment, guys. If this film had to get one thing right, it was that Gal Gadot portrayal of Wonder Woman. I mean, that was the huge standout of the first film, of Batman v Superman even. Like, she was great in that movie. And to say that Gal Gadot just wasn't that good in this movie is kind of heartbreaking. She didn't feel like she was Wonder Woman like she did in the first film. She felt like she was playing Wonder Woman. And that was a huge, huge disappointment and a huge problem for me. So let's get into some of the positive, guys. There's a couple of positives that I'm going to call out here. The first one is, outside of the tonal inconsistencies, I do think that Patty Jenkins directed a visually stunning, good-looking film, well-directed film. The shots were great. Everything looked great, at least like cinematically. It's a very good-looking film. If you do go and see this in theaters, I imagine that you're not going to be disappointed just from a visual standpoint. We'll also say that Pedro Pascal, despite the fact that I didn't really enjoy his character in this movie, I thought he did a fantastic job in that role and really brought some weight and emotion to that performance, even though some of the things he did made absolutely no sense for him as a character, and I didn't really like his story and his arc and all that stuff. But besides that, I thought he did a really good job as the villain Max Lord in this movie. So another one, guys, and this kind of set me up to believe that this movie was going to be awesome. I think the opening is the strongest sequence of the entire film. Visually, action-wise, performance-wise, you have Robin Wright in there again, so that was cool to see her back. I love the opening. I thought they absolutely nailed the opening. They set up for the themes of the film, which felt fine in the beginning, and then it felt a little heavy-handed by the time we got at the end. But I did love that opening, and it set me up to think that I was actually going to get a good movie, and of course I did not. So at the end of the day, guys, I got to go pretty low on this one, and it honestly breaks my heart. It makes me a little sad to say this, but I'm giving this movie a 6.75 out of 10. I can't even get it up to mediocre standpoints. This movie is bad. It is a bad movie. There are a couple of redeeming qualities, but if my only redeeming qualities are the opening of the movie and the fact that it's visually stunning in some sequences, Pedro Pascal was pretty good in his villain role. If those are my only positives, I can't even say this is a mediocre to okay movie. It's a bad movie. It's a complete failure as a movie, as a sequel. And that being said, like, they announce a Wonder Woman 3 tomorrow, directed by Patty Jenkins and starring Gal Gadot. Am I going to be excited for it based off of this? No, I'm not. I'm not going to be excited for any other Wonder Woman movie until they prove me otherwise because of this movie. Of course, it's possible they could come back to greatness again like that first one, but to me, like, this movie just kind of points to the fact that the first film was lightning in a bottle. I don't know if they can recapture that magic again. I don't know if it was the period piece setting. I don't know if it was just the fact that it was the first time, it was one of the first big female-led performances in a superhero film. I don't know what it was. Maybe that film was lightning in a bottle. Maybe it's something that we can't recapture here. in another movie, but God, I hope so. I hope they nail it. I hope they get it right again, because this movie was honestly just so disappointing. Such a failure on so many levels. It is a 6.75 out of 10 for me, guys. I did not enjoy this movie. With that, I'm going to go ahead and end this review, guys, so be sure to let me know what you thought of the film in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think I'm nuts? Do you think Wonder Woman 84 is the best comic book movie of the year? Do you think it's one of the best movies of the year? Please let me know down below. I'm not here to discredit anybody's opinion. I'm open to all opinions. Let me know in the comments below. Also, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.